Welcome to Bears on Tap, hosted by Quentin Q. Crisco, Samir Patel, Sonny Verma, and the one and only Ron Luce. Bringing you all the news, analysis, and opinions on the charter franchise, Chicago Bears.
When we're going dancing, we like to party at the disco with the sunglasses on. Tonight, we are celebrating the Chicago Bears clinching a playoff spot. Ron Luce, the one and only Sonny Verma. Sonny, we said we were going to come in and we have some things to talk about, but we're just celebrating.
Yeah.
Where are we going first, sir?
I mean, what do you want to do? Do we want to talk about? Did you watch the game? This is our second episode already today. You know, so it's one of those guys. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit the like button. If you're watching this show, for every bear down we get, I'm going to take a swig of a drink. How's that? Is that fair? You know, I got work tomorrow, but that's fine. I don't mind. It's, you know, Ron, it's one of those, we don't have to do segments. Let's just sit back and enjoy. Who would have thought on December 21st that we would be sitting here on Bears on Tap celebrating the Chicago Bears making it to clinching a playoff spot this year,
exceeding a lot of expectation this year. Year one of Ben Johnson at the helm. I'm right there with you, Sonny. I'll tell you what, your proposition sounds appealing, and maybe we'll follow through here as well. Scott believes the Bears are getting the 1 seed, and it's always bear down. Hey, I'll tell you what, we're feeling really good. There's a lot of bear downs in the chat. Okay, this is already off the rails. Un per user. That's probably a good asterisk that we'll include there.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, how did they get here? Sonny, I don't know about you. I did watch a little bit of the game today, in which I watched myself clinch last place. So I have a punishment to do in my fantasy football league for officially losing today, thanks to Jaylen Warren. But Jaylen Warren helped the Bears clinch a playoff spot because the Steelers took care of business against the Lions. Did you see the last play? How all over the place that was?
So because my day was yesterday, today was family day, I was following everything on my phone, the updates, getting the updates and whatnot. But I heard there's some controversy. So you guys let me know.
I don't know. I guess there's controversy. I don't know. I haven't looked too deep into it. I'm in celebratory mode. That is outside of my pay grade, outside of my range. We're just celebrating the outcomes of such event. Yeah, you know, there's a lateral, Jared Goff pulling something crazy, but then a flag. I don't know. Maybe there wasn't a flag. Maybe there was a flag. Who knows? 2 offensive PIs on that last little trip into the red zone.
I saw that. Yeah, I was reading about that. Yeah.
It was a game that if I'm a Detroit Lions fan, if I'm a Detroit Lion player, coach, I might be a little upset about that game. I'm not gonna lie, but that's just.
But you're not.
That's out of our control. We're celebrating the Chicago Bears and what it means to be celebrating our friend Quentin here, guys. Just finished watching it. I almost had a heart attack despite knowing the outcome. I am in shock. It's fun to rewatch a football game. I'm going to do that with this one, I think, at some point over the next few days. There's so much to unpack from the Bears game. And then, of course, from what happened today. But, Sonny, here we are. 11 wins? That's a lot.
You know, Q, it's one of those, you know, I want to space these out a little bit. So Russell had the first bear down. I think I noticed the last name, so I'm assuming some sort of relation.
That was my father.
To Ron's father, cheers number 1. It's a glass of tequila. So I'm going to take that first bear down right now. You know, it's one of those things, Ron, where on the drive home, right, when we were texting back and forth about going live tonight, for me, it's like I was just kind of thinking about this season. Like, it's one thing that we're kind of used to, sneaking into the playoffs at 9-7, or, you know, just maybe 10-6. But right now, the Chicago Bears have earned this playoff spot. You're sitting at 11 wins right now, with and room to get even more wins later on this season in one of the toughest years to make it into the playoffs. It's incredible to me. I woke up this morning at 11-4, not clinched. I had to wait for a 7.5 point favorite to lose this afternoon in order for me to finally be able to celebrate and kind of relax, because as fun as this season has been, I wasn't counting on the playoffs yet. We've been Bears fans long enough. We've seen how things could go. And the fact that, today, finally, as soon as I saw the final score pop up in that Lions game, and again, I saw the Lions were like 4th and 2 or, 4th and goal or something like that. So I'm just waiting.
Oh, yeah.
As you know, I'm at the movies with my family, so I'm just like waiting for it to refresh to try to figure out what happened. But as soon as I saw the final score flash, I finally just took like a big sigh of relief. I was like, okay, at least we know, at least for the first time since I've been here at Bears on Tap, that we're going to have postseason post games to cover on the show. And I love it.
Hey, we at least get one. And that's a really cool thing that we're going to get to see. I sit back and I think about my expectation for this team before the season. To your point, Sonny, was very much 10 wins was like, oh yeah, best case scenario, baby. We're doing just fine if that's the case. Like, it's a nice change of pace. And the Bears, you know what? It's showing that Ben Johnson said, he was like, I'm coming here. We're doing this shit right now. This doesn't need to wait. We're just going for it. And that's just kind of the Ben Johnson almost mantra without being the mantra. It's always just, it really is just kind of, you know what? Let's go for it. You know what? Let's go for it. It's 4th down. You know what? Let's go for it. Why not? Let's just do it. Let's go for it all. Winning against the Packers. We could run the ball. It's 1st down. Or we can just dagger them right here. Done. That's kind of been the mentality of this team. And in the NFL right now, that's kind of what you need to win. Truly physical football is like, smash mouth of football has evolved. The spread game is kind of gone compared to what it used to be. And the Bears are finding a way to just bully teams. And it's been fun. And it's just been unbelievable that they have already gotten to this point. And I'm not even thinking about next year yet. I'm fully invested in this holiday season, because not only you get to celebrate with family and friends, the Bears are good too.
And this is after an 0-2 start to the season. Just for fun, I want to go back and watch the post-game show that we had after losing that second game, because I remember it. I remember just being so deflated and wondering, hey, had I not known Ben Johnson was the new head coach, would I even know that there was a difference? And then just to see the turnaround that they've had since then, 11-2. And I mean, this team looks completely different after that bye week. And Ben Johnson got to work and really fixed a lot of the issues that we had, in particular with the running game. And I'm just trying to think, like, if I could go back at 0-2 and tell that version of me that, hey, you're going to be clinching the playoffs with 2 games still left to go, there's no way I would have believed it. But that just kind of tells you what this season has been like.
100%. 100%. And a couple great comments here too, Sonny. They should be 12-3 if they had a running game in that first game. Yeah, everybody remembers that one. And my dad's talking about next year, but yeah, it's true though. People will want to come here. There's a culture now. There's a standard in Chicago. And yes, you and Q were inconsolable on that show. Yeah, Lions fans predicting this in our chat. Yeah, crazy, man. They're a good football team, and they're proving it so much earlier. It's been fun to watch. Sonny, you bring up such a great point though about the bye week. What do you think the bye week was? Was it more of, hey, this just isn't working what we thought was going to work and we got to hit pivot? Or was it, hey, we got an extra week to like get everybody just on the same page? Like the model's there. Just trust the process. Was this trust the process or abort mission? We got to just do something completely different.
I mean, I feel like you and Q are probably better to answer that question. But for me, I do think as the everyday layman, it was one of those like, hey, we need to figure out how to establish some sort of game, rushing game. We need to figure out our offensive line. We spent a lot of money. And I do remember very early in the season, us talking about the frustrations that we were having and Ben getting that extra week. And I remember us talking about it like, Ben is supposed to be like meticulous with details and a super hard worker, a guy who never leaves the office. This is going to be his first bye week as a head coach. The weakness is glaring. It's staring at you in the face. What kind of adjustments is this guy going to make in his first bye week? And again, the season's not over, but he's passed with flying colors overall because the team looks entirely different than what it did those first 5 weeks.
It really does. And I think there was a little bit of evolution with it in the sense of like, we're going to try something new. But there was a lot of process that I believe was there in weeks 1 and 2, and even in the losses where it was just, hey, we're just getting on the same page. Like we're almost there. Give us a couple of weeks and we'll be just fine. And it really does feel that way because you talk about, there was always, hey, we're getting on the same page. They knew it in week 2. They're like, we're going to be fine. We know where this is going. We know where this ship is going. I really do believe that there were little elements that they certainly cleaned up and fixed and scrapped the original plan. And we're like, no, we're going to do this. But I think the process, overall process and vision has not changed. We're going to bully people. We're going to run the football effectively. And we are going to just wear on teams and beat them in a number of different ways. It's critically important. It was critically important that they fully bought into that. And I think that early bye week helped them, man. I really do. I think that was huge for this team. And like you said, they really rebooted and have been spectacular ever since. Again, not even necessarily in terms of full execution. There's some games where they struggle early. And we just saw one, right? We just watched this football game happen. It's been the same story all season sometimes. They're kind of winning ugly at times, but they're winning efficiently, where it's like, hey, we just got to be close. We need that, in the clutch moment. Just we gotta come back and get you at the end. That's great football teams. That's what the Chiefs have made a living doing. That's what the Patriots made a living doing. Now the Bears are starting to do that. That's the difference between, hey, we're a good team. We're probably a flash in the pan though, and like, yeah, this is some legitimate culture here that can really open a respectable competitive window in the city of Chicago.
And you bringing up culture, as soon as you said that, like I'm flashing back again to, I don't remember which week it was. Maybe Q's got a lot better memory than I do, but where Ben Johnson went up there and when he was talking to the media, he talked about how this Bears team did not have practice habits of a championship team. He was setting the tone right there early, telling the leaders, telling that entire locker room that what he's seen so far, as the team did struggle a little early in the season, it was simply not acceptable. So in a lot of ways, maybe that was him putting his foot down on what he wanted his culture to look like moving forward. And obviously it's shifted because literally just this past weekend at the postgame, he's talking about how incredible of a group of players this is and how he knows how fortunate he is, how lucky he is to have all these guys in the same locker room who believe in each other, in the Bears team, and play for a full 60 minutes. And again, you reflect that from X amount of weeks earlier when Ben Johnson was saying, no, this team doesn't have the habits of a championship team yet. Now they do. At least it looks like they do.
Ben Johnson feels like he's got like general in the military energy. Just like almost it is kind of the old-fashioned like whip their ass into shape type thing of just like getting everybody on the same page. It's a stern culture, but it's a respected culture because the grind is there and the preparation is there and the hard work is there, and like the effort is not missed on either side between players and coaches. Like everybody's in lockstep, and it's impressive. the his the leadership qualities bleed through with a guy like him too. It's not just X's and O's. It's creating a true, you hear the term program, right? We're creating a program here. We're establishing something that's gonna sit for a while. It's not gonna be just a flash in the pan.
Ben Johnson is one of those guys where whatever he wanted to do when he grew up, he would have been able to do. And us as Bears fans, we are extremely lucky that he wanted to be involved in football and that he wanted to coach football. He went to school as a, super genius or whatnot. And so he probably could have made a lot of money doing something else. But he wanted the grind. He started from the bottom and worked his way up that NFL ladder. And now here he is, having an impeccable run in his debut season as a Chicago Bears head coach. He had such sky high expectations coming into this year. He's a guy that Bears fans, he's been on the back of our minds for a year, 2 years before he was even hired here. And then to actually come here, I'll be honest, I don't remember the exact prediction, but I just wanted 9 wins this season. Get me above 500 and I'm feeling good. This team is way beyond what my expectation was for year 1. Maybe year 2, year 3, this is kind of what I wanted to see. Mm-hmm. But again, that just has me more excited because I, for the first time in a long time, in a decade essentially, have a lot of faith in the guy who's calling things, who's controlling the program here. And that's why, it's one of those where we're sitting here, we're celebrating today, but I'm just as much celebrating this season and getting it to the playoffs as much as I'm finally acknowledging that, what? As you said, I don't think this is a flash in the pan. I've seen enough. I think this genuinely is the start of a new chapter in my Chicago Bears fandom, where I have a lot more positive things to look forward to tomorrow. So this is just as much cheers to the past, what would we have, 15 weeks, as much as it is to doing this again next year and the following year and the year after that.
Absolutely. It's exciting stuff, man. And again, I think, conversations have been had, right, about the Nagy regime in 2018. And there was some stuff though that they still needed to build upon. We were like, okay, you had a great year, but now let's build, let's keep this going in the right direction. And it kind of didn't. And everybody was like, oh, okay. This year this came in flying out the gate faster than anybody could have expected. Who's to say it can't last a while, because you've gotten some of the most important aspects of an organization correct, it seems. The foundational base is still there when it's all said and done. Maybe you could have made the same arguments that was said about the last regime too, but the immediate results are there and they've continued since. And that's, I think, the largest difference is the immediate, just true, almost dominant nature. Sometimes it feels like that this Bears team can play with. They can dominate you, and then even when they're having their worst game, they're never really out of it. Just full-blown, dare I say, complete in a lot of ways in terms of the way that they're playing football. All 3 phases are getting the job done.
And I mean, the 2 most important parts of a football team, arguably your head coach, we have a lot of confidence in, and as every passing week, Caleb has less and less haters. And another difference between the team from a few years ago is we have most of our draft picks still too. We're going to have cap room, and we've got those draft picks where, again, that's why I think we're a year early. We have enough flexibility moving forward to supplement this team to get to the level to win a Super Bowl, which arguably they are today. And that's why I like where we're at, as opposed to our rivals up north who gave up a lot of draft picks, for a guy like Micah Parsons. If we want to make that sort of decision moving forward this offseason or the next, we can. But even if we don't, Ryan Poles just had one heck of a draft this past offseason. If he can replicate that again next offseason, imagine what having another 5-6 valuable rotational guys on this team is going to look like. And that's, again, why I'm so optimistic about what things are going to look like tomorrow.
100%. And I think you also have to look at too, like a GM that does a solid job does need a head coach to be elite at what they do, because they are also part of the talent evaluation process. And of course, then it's, well, what can this, like, how can we bring out the best in this player? What can we maximize in terms of his talents? And that's how you have to operate and build a team. And I think that's the biggest difference now, is you've got that just savvy, I know what I need, I know what I want in a player. Get this guy here for me because he can do X, Y, and Z. Colston Loveland, Luther Burden, Kyle Monangai in the 7th round, becoming, I think, far better than they were expecting this quickly. Eric Bieniemy getting appreciation. You have an elite coaching staff as well. Like, you have great coaches at every position. These are some of the best in the industry that said, like, yeah, let's team up and let's go there. Like, we all know we're going to grow from this, but let's try to do something right away in a special spot. And they've been able to do it. Some other comments here, making adjustments each game, 100%. Like, the game plan completely changes. It's not like same vanilla type stuff. Yeah, entire coaching staff, fantastic. Go Bears, 100%. Yeah, and with the injuries, I think that's another testament. The depth of this team is rather spectacular. I mean, look at the contributions from Deshaun Wright, CJ Gardner-Johnson coming in off the street and doing what he's done, Kyle Gordon's absence, Luther Burden stepping up as quickly, and Loveland and these other rookies as well, Caleb growing, DeAndre Swift becoming a better version of himself. Like, they're so deep in terms of weaponry on both sides of the ball that they've just managed. DeMarco Jackson's been wearing the green dot. He's like the 5th linebacker on the roster. But that's culture, that's buy-in, that's, you know what to do, you know your job, you're going to do it to the best of your ability, and we're going to find a way. And it's that gritty kind of just, I think what the winning formula is right now in the NFL. It's being able to bully teams and, guys that can do multiple skill sets to really kind of hybridize offenses. And you can really spread it out. You can bring it in tight, and you're going to beat people up, but you're going to outrun people too. And nobody's going to have an answer. The Bears are building that in terms of how they use their talent.
Yeah, and again, as you talk, I get more ideas in my head, and you bring up a really good point. It's one of those where outside fan bases, the ones who aren't really heavily invested in the Bears, just think that we luckily win every single week by fluke, by luck, or whatever it might be. But it's us, Bears insiders, Bears fans, who see that this team is depleted. This team has had to earn all 11 of their wins this year. And, we have, free agent signings, guys right off the street, undrafted rookies who all of a sudden we put onto the field to make plays, and they're making plays. And again, that's just kind of why, it's just an incredible feeling on what this team looks like moving forward. Me talking about those draft picks, you'll have more younger guys, more well-suited to what this team and what Ben Johnson wants to build. This is his first team, right? This is literally, he's had half an off season to put this team together. Imagine, what guys he targets in the next year's draft and the year beyond that. But we don't have to, because somehow, some way, the Chicago Bears, as people are talking about in the chat right now, they have an opportunity in front of them to be the number 1 seed in the NFC, and there's no debate anymore that they are Super Bowl contenders. Year 1, Ben Johnson.
Yep. Great point here. The Bears, yeah, they could possibly. They've got as good of a team, I think, as anybody, and you're starting to see certain people are figuring out other teams, but really at the end of the day, like, people maybe think they figured out the Bears, but the Bears just beat people up, and eventually that's what allows them to open up and get a shot late if they're not, humming the entire game over the course of the day. And yes, the Bears finally win over the Packers at Soldier Field. I mean, Sonny, I've gotten more time to finally think about it now that we've exceeded 24 hours. I also found, we're gonna have to find a way to share this. I found the reaction video that ended up being recorded of where I was watching the game with some friends. And it made its way to TikTok because it's a silent celebration, because it was silent hours at a friend's apartment. It is one of the most fun things I've watched in terms of just people reactions. Might have to share it because it's spectacular. Just the pure jubilation of when this Bears team is good, man. Like there's no team in Chicago that brings this entire city and like friends together. Like even if you're not the biggest sports fan, like everybody can get excited about the Bears. It's just that type of town.
It's one of those where no matter what your circle looks like you may have nobody in your circle who's a Blackhawks fan. You may have nobody in your circle who cares about what the Chicago Bulls are doing. Or if you're a Cubs fan, someone in your circle might be a White Sox fan, but otherwise not care about baseball. But there's nobody that exists around this town that doesn't have somebody in their lives who is excited right now, who's like, hey, did you happen to watch the Bears game? As you said, the Chicago Bears are the one team that just universally unites kind of everybody in the city. And when the Chicago Bears are good, the mood in the city is just so much better than what we're kind of used to. And it's not like the other teams are giving us much choice. Like it's not like the other teams are giving us an opportunity to follow them and be excited about where their trajectories are. So like the Bears being good is the absolute best case scenario and gives the city the ceiling, the peak value of having the most people just together rooting for the same goal.
Absolutely. It's electric in Chicago when the Bears are good, man. I in my entire life, I recall never once people like hardcore dressing up for the Blackhawks in the Stanley Cup Finals. Like at school or just out in public, like you'd see jerseys here and there, but like I don't know. I was probably one of the select few that was always rocking, playoff jerseys and things like that. But for the Bears, I've literally there's a class picture out there somewhere from Ron Luce's lifetime of when the Bears went to the Super Bowl and everybody wore Bears gear. It's different for football, man. It always has been, and it always will be. It's just that kind of town.
It's funny you say that because Saturday morning, my kids have their gymnastics at 8:30, and the first thing I noted was every other dad there had whether it was a Bears hat on or a Bears hoodie on. And I remember sending my brother a text, and he's like, "Yeah, I see the same thing at the gym right now." And then right after their gymnastics was over, a half hour later, I take them to basketball practice, and it's the same thing. All you saw anywhere was blue and orange, and you make eye contact with another dad who's got a Bears hat on. You do a little head nod. You talk about big game tonight. What do you think? Et cetera, et cetera. You don't see that for any other sport.
No.
Here, it's just there's a unity aspect of the Chicago Bears team, and this one even more so. I feel like just because of the excitement around the new guys, right?
Yeah.
Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams. Like we've never, well, in Ben's case, maybe we've had good coaches in the past, but a prospect like Caleb, who's coming through the way he has, it's like we finally are trying to, like, we're almost joining the club that every other fan base has already had. They've had good quarterbacks in their lifetimes, whereas we're just like, wait, did we actually hit it right this time?
Yeah. It feels like all things are hitting on the right cylinders. You'll also get the classic, you'll be out in public and wearing something all of a sudden, like from the angle you can't see out of your blind spot, you hear, you get a quick one of those sometimes. Those are always fun. Or I left Marshall's just before the game on Saturday, and there was a couple as they're walking out of the Marshalls chanting, "Let's go Bears, Bear Don." And it was just like hilarious. It's just in the parking lot, you know what I mean? But like everybody's so excited about this team, and just it really does. It brings the city together. It's super cool to see. We already got an early prediction, Sonny. 27-24 Bears on Sunday Night Football. I haven't even mentally thought about next week yet. Admittedly, still celebrating, but I'll tell you what, it's an interesting game. It's an interesting game because both teams clinched playoff spots today. The Niners also clinched with the Bears. So both of these teams know they're in. I wonder, does that change the strategy of how they approach these games? Like, does Kyle Shanahan look at the standings and go, we really can't catch anybody? I don't know if they mathematically can or can't. But if they can, like, are they like, no, we're going for it. We're trying to win the NFC West and get that likely bye week too, right? Probably coming out of an NFC West team unless the Bears keep humming and they get some help. It'll be interesting to see how both teams approach that game. Like, is it more conservative? Are you're just trying to, manage your way to a win? Or is it like, no, this feels like almost playoff football in a sense of like, we got positioning to battle for here. I'm excited to see what that sense of urgency is.
Yeah, I think the Bears just still have so much to play for. As we talked about, the potential of winning the division is still there. The bye week and whatnot. And we know Ben Johnson, in his experience with Detroit, like they really didn't slow down. They didn't really believe in bringing in your backups and whatnot. And, with San Francisco not being able to really do much at this point, like I think they might be a little bit more content with getting into the playoffs. Because let's be honest, they've done this before. They know what that grind is like. And on that same note, we've seen what Ben Johnson is like on a regular Sunday afternoon, right? There's no part of him that sits back and relaxes and takes the easy play. So I really feel like the mentality of the Chicago Bears team is so aggressive and, pure aggression, personified by a guy like Manungai. And I think that Ben, like the team encapsulates what their head coach is like. And so for that reason, I just can't envision a Ben Johnson team slowing things down. I can't imagine him going up there and be like, we just want to make sure our guys are healthy, this and that. I think Ben sees the goal there. Get the number 1 seed, take care of business on your end, and let's just see what happens elsewhere. And, you have an opportunity to win 13 games this year, be a number 1 seed in the NFC in a year where, do you remember what their over-under was this year in wins? I can't think of it off the top of my head, but again, it couldn't have been higher than 8 or 9 this year. And to have this kind of story. Yeah. And, again, you're talking about, potential coach of the year. Not that Ben cares about that kind of stuff, but I think I've convinced myself that now knowing and seeing, 15 weeks of how Ben Johnson coaches, I don't see him changing anything.
No, I agree. And see, you know what? That's what I like about this team. And it's not a shot at any of the like lovey teams, but I remember watching guys sit in the last week of the season. Now, again, when nothing's on the line, I'm cool with it. Like whatever,
right.
Be smart. Like I'm okay with that. But like in this case, the Bears have a chance. There is something to play for here. I want them to attack with that sense of urgency. That's what I'm looking for in my football teams. We got one Delicia. Nope. They need all the games. Yeah, I'm all for that. Yes, first place. Go get it. Sure they do. The number 1 seed's on the line. Yeah, because that's huge. And that means the trip to the Super Bowl in the NFC runs through that muddy mosh pit called Soldier Field at this time of the year. And the Bears are seemingly built to win in that weather because of a quarterback with an arm that the wind literally doesn't affect him. You can run the football and your defense preys on you misfired because of the wind and we're going to take the ball away. You want that momentum going into the playoffs. And I'm right there. I love that about this team. I love that about Ben. Like it's always attack, no matter what. Even if it's not working, we're coming at you. We're not going to try to, tiptoe our way around you or something or deceive you. No, we're just going to bully ball our way right through you. It's fine. We're putting our head down and we're going to work.
Yeah, it's a hat tip to the legend John Cena, who just retired last week. I think the Bears are entering their ruthless aggression era.
Yes.
Just going at it, going full force. And things might change eventually. Ben Johnson, as hopefully I've talked about, us making the playoffs becomes more of a normality. Maybe then Ben kind of adjusts, seeing what the regular season and the postseason and seeing what it's like. But I just think right now, Ben's at the mode where like he knows whatever's clicking is clicking. And why try to flip the switch off if you don't know 100%, you can flip the switch back on again.
Yeah. Completely and totally correct, sir. This is a good one here from Scott. And he's kind of right, but it also sets up something else. They need to win, even if they don't get the number 1 seed. Need the division title and would rather have the 2 than the 3 seed. Sure. And you get a rematch with the Packers, most likely, in your own building. Does this, I must ask you, Sonny, does this finally break the borderline curse of Bears Packers right now? In the sense of you gotta beat them to win the whole thing? Is there something poetic to that?
Yeah, there's something storybook-esque about that. Having one more game against them, as the tiebreaker, and again in the playoffs, and no excuses. It's not injuries are injuries. It doesn't matter. With everything on the line in the playoffs. Look, the Packers beat the Bears in the playoffs a couple of years ago, and what was it? Caleb Haney, who was in that quarterback. Do you think they use that as an excuse? No, they absolutely don't. So it's one of those. I think it's one of those where Packers fans and your favorite Packers content creators, are using the excuse about Jordan being gone and whatnot, and saying this wasn't a real win. Look how much these Bears fans are celebrating. An opportunity to beat them in the playoffs, I think, cements the fact that they can't ignore us anymore. It's not one of those little brother, big brother relationships. It's one of those little brother grew up, and now it's a different level of competition.
Indeed. It is another level of competition. Scott says it here. Ben gets his 2 wins per season as predicted in his presser. Yeah, that's a creative way to get him, but you'll take him however you can get. Jason in the comments saying also, we're not moving to Indiana. He'd be effing pissed. That's in reference to our little bonus episode that we had. We've had a busy Bears week here at Bears on Tap. Talking about the whole stadium things that just conveniently got released right before this game. I think everybody completely forgot about those after last night, what happened. So doesn't matter anymore. We'll talk about it after the season's over. We don't care. The focus is football right now, and the Bears are just going to continue to hum, and it's going to be so much fun to watch. Sonny, I must ask you, I'm going to pivot a little bit from the Bears, and we'll just keep it still celebratory in ways, because not only are the Bears clinching playoff positions, but fantasy football championships are being clinched and won. Strong fantasy year for you. Are you doing any punishments like Ron Luce has too?
So I've had one of my stronger years in a long time, and I was playing in the quarterfinals this particular weekend. After a fast start, I had Puka on my team, giving me 43 points on Thursday night. But unfortunately, I went up against the New Orleans defense, along with Jalen Warren and Trevor Lawrence. And all of a sudden, I'm going to lose to the high score of the weekend. Unfortunately, this is a league where it's a group of best friends that's been around for like 15 years. And I'm the only one in the league that hasn't won. And so, it's
damn.
But I have the Chicago Bears in my life, so I can't be too down.
That's true. I am telling myself the exact same thing. I will sacrifice success in every fantasy football league I'm ever in if it means the Bears are good. I will live with that for the rest of my life. That is my tribute to the football gods. I'm good. I don't need to win nothing. We're fine. Just let me at least have fun and be competitive. That's all I'm asking for. I'll tell you what, it's the same way for me. A long-time league with a couple of my cousins and some of their extended family. And I finished second and fourth a lot in this league.
Me too. Yeah.
And it's brutal. Just missing the top, man. Always missing the top. It's been a tough one for me. And then I have a punishment to do. There's a wheel I have to spin. There's 4 options. So that'll probably be my closing thought on hopefully another Bears victory post-game show roughly next Sunday. Is going to be what Ron Luce, ridiculous thing Ron Luce is doing at his fantasy football draft next year.
Ron, I like Scott's question. This is one that I was kind of debating this morning after our show that we did. What do you think? He needs 600 yards in the last 2 games. I'll let you talk first.
No, go ahead.
I think the Detroit game is going to be interesting because in a lot of ways, San Francisco, I don't know, moving forward, I guess we'll kind of get a vibe check on what San Francisco wants to do.
Sure.
But despite Detroit being out of it, essentially now, it's still Detroit. It's still Ben Johnson. And Ben's going to want that game back from earlier in the year. So like, even if there's nothing to play for in that last game, there's absolutely a lot to play for. And so that's kind of the game where I kind of earmark, you know, obviously Caleb's numbers are anywhere from 200 to 250. I feel like pretty routinely every single game. I absolutely think that Caleb can go for 300 in Detroit. You can see an offensive shootout, 300, 350 or whatever. I think what I'll keep an eye on is what kind of numbers he gets next week against San Francisco. And if it's going to be close enough for the Bears, Ben Johnson, and Caleb to try to eclipse that 4,000 mark. Because whether they acknowledge it or not, and they have acknowledged it during the offseason, we all know it's a story. It's one of those, in Bears lore. And this season, I feel like in a lot of ways has been breaking the glass ceiling of what we're used to as Bears fans. And I think this could kind of be the icing on the cake when it comes to just a pure, like, this is a different Chicago Bears team than you grew up with.
Absolutely. It is not the childhood team of youth going forward. I'll tell you what, when it comes to this question, I wonder. I really do wonder, because it's not so much the Detroit game, right? It's probably going to be cold. It's probably going to be windy. They're probably going to run the football a lot. They're going to try and avoid, like, God forbid, Caleb getting hurt or something, right? Knocking on every piece of wood that's around me right now.
Oh, gosh. Why? Yeah, right. Definitely.
But I think in San Francisco, like, I could see a weird way where that becomes a shootout. Maybe that's the game that gets him really, really close. I'll tell you what I do think he's going to accomplish. I think he will break Kramer's record this year.
Mm-hmm.
That will happen. I think that will absolutely happen, because he's a 38, I believe is the number.
That sounds about right, yeah.
I think he gets to at least that. He'll get close. I think he'll get close, and then I think there's momentum then for next year, where I think that's the year. Then they're right on schedule. They have a true, premier passer in the NFL. Did you notice too? Passing yards are significantly down in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you want to get down that rabbit hole, but I have a take on this rabbit hole really quick.
We're celebrating. Go for it, Ron.
The shorter fields are creating less. You need to march down the field and really throw the football. There's a lot more running the football. Kickers are hitting from so much further back. Like, it's almost becoming more chess than it is rugby in a lot of ways, it feels like. And we're not going to see those, like, 5,000-yard passing seasons probably anymore, unless the kickoff rule changes. I think that is right now what's causing this difference, because there's 4 or 5 passers in the league right now that are, like, for sure going to hit 4,000 yards this year, when, like, 10 years ago there was, like, 2 guys with 5, and then everybody else was, like, if you had 4,500 yards, you were, like, 13th on the list.
Right.
It was completely bonkers in comparison to what it is now, man. I'm telling you, it's something. But that's a take on that. But I hope he gets it. It would be cool. But I think he at least for sure breaks the record. Another one here, Sonny, as we celebrate more. The Iceman cometh. Did you see the Jeff Joniak call?
I did. Oh, it was beautiful.
Electric.
Yeah.
Electric. Jeff's got a lot of good ones, man. There's a lot of good ones. That one, you know what that one gave me vibes of? Just in terms of a play, not necessarily like the Joniak call, even though I think, if I remember correctly, his call was incredible as well. The Devin Aroshimadu touchdown.
I don't recall off the top of my head.
But that play, though, right? The deep pass to a receiver to win against an NFC North rival, like, that's the 2 games that I get in my head. But yeah, another great call by the great Jeff Joniak in this one. That one was fun to see. Did you see the fan give him a high five too? I thought that was really funny.
I did. Did you see the? This is a little off topic, but did you see the different kind of high five? Apparently, DK Metcalf gave another fan at the end of the game today.
No.
Oh, like a punch to a fan. Yeah,
really?
He's going to be hearing from the office after this game.
No,
for sure. Yeah, I mean, he's got to be suspended.
Oh no!
Wait, speaking of which, we didn't get to say this. Hold on. This is cheers to Scott earlier, because I know a couple of bear downs. But But this cheers is also to our old friend who helped us out today, Mr. Aaron Rodgers.
Yes.
Gets us into the playoffs today. So thank you,
Yes.
Scott from Iowa, and thank you, Aaron Rodgers. Cheers to you guys.
I'll tell you what. Aaron Rodgers said, you know what? I came into this league and I had my fun and I watched the Bears suffer. But maybe, just maybe, I do have a heart, even if it's the size of the Grinch at this holiday season. And for that, yes, you're 100% right. I'm only taking a little sip of this. We're not getting crazy. I just have a little glass. We're just taking a little sippy sip. But to Aaron Rodgers saying, you know what, Bears fans, I'm gonna leave you and I'm gonna let you be at peace. Just knowing that when I was here, I tortured you. And I get that sick satisfaction.
Or maybe it could be one of those, he was a Packer for so long, and obviously he and the Packers organization don't see eye to eye anymore. And so this is his retribution despite them.
Yes.
Because what's going to piss off the Packers more than the Chicago Bears having success?
And super spin zone, tinfoil hat. We're going to take his pettiness a step further. He had to leave more of an impact on that organization than Brett Favre. So Brett Favre went to Minnesota to piss them off. Rodgers said, I'm just going to let the Bears be good instead. Because that's going to make you even more mad. And we're going to help them out.
We got to devote an episode just to keep pulling on this thread. Like how this all comes down to Aaron Rodgers.
It's Aaron Rodgers. And he needs to be better than Brett Favre, because that's what in his professional career, that's what he's set to do. And he's done it. And you have to torture Green Bay on the way out, just like Favre did. At least a little bit, right? They feel good about their quarterback. It's kind of the same vibe, but he's gotta chase Favre. I just hope that means he doesn't do anything bad like Favre has done in the light of people and humanity. I think he's truly just I believe Aaron Rodgers is going into his little hole and just nobody's ever going to see him again. That's what he's going to do. He's going to live a very quaint, quiet, just almost namaste life is what I'm going to call it. Just everything's in balance. We're good. We're fine. I'm living, I'm chilling. We're having fun.
Yeah, no, I can definitely see that. And Scott actually corrected me. He says that the Packers lose their final 2 games and the Lions win both, the Lions get in. So, okay, they're not officially out. But again, that's what could make that week 18 matchup, or what, 19, whatever weeks we have now, even more interesting. That that Lions and Chicago Bears final game of the year.
I am so excited that game's going to potentially have implications, because I really want to go.
You just want an excuse to go.
I mean, I want an excuse to go regardless, even if the Bears have nothing to play for. Or if they're just playing knowing hey, if we win, we got a chance at number 1, but if we lose, we play the Packers and it is what it is, right? But I want to go. We'll see. We'll have to wait and see what happens there. This is an interesting question here from Raymond. He says, do y'all think that Ben Johnson has been saving DJ Moore passes for this time of year? Do we think he's just being used that way now? What say you, sir? I have a take, but I would like to hear from you first.
I mean, your take will be a lot more knowledgeable than mine. For me, it's just no. It's just the Bears have their foundation is built around grinding the opponent and weakening them with their rushing game, with their offensive line, with their 2 running backs, Swift and Kyle. And we have talented ball catchers, between Luther Burden's emergence, Romo Dunze in particular earlier in the year, Colson Loveland, it seems to be getting better every single week. I think it's one of those where, Ben Johnson is going to find a way to use DJ. And I think you saw it just last night. When DJ's number is going to be called, he's going to do a lot of damage. But I mean, you take a look, once we do the season recap episode and we go over all the wide receivers' numbers on this football team, no one guy's going to jump out at you.
No.
It's a conglomerate. It's a compilation of a lot of talented players who each kind of get their turn on any individual week, which, it's hard. It's hard seeing that because you just gave DJ Moore that huge, big contract this offseason. But at the same time, you have to think about what Ben Johnson teams look like. And it's got to be such a headache for opposing defensive coordinators because you can't just game plan for one guy because teams have done that, I'm sure, in the past, but it doesn't matter. If you game plan to try to take DJ Moore out, then Luther Burden's going to have a big game. Or you want to take Roma Doomsday out, then DJ's going to have a game. If two of your top wide receivers are out, it doesn't matter because DJ Moore is your WR1, and he can still go off for 97 yards and a touchdown when you need it most. I think this team is just super well balanced, and I think that part is what's by design.
Yeah, I think you're 100% correct. I think this is going to be, I don't know if this is necessarily a truly like football philosophy answer that most people are like, oh yeah, that makes total sense. I'm throwing shit off the wall here. But to me, Ben Johnson may be better than any other coach that I've seen, at least recently. He is able. So, right, historically, great teams would have your for sures on like offense, right? Your absolutes. Your number one receiver, that can play just pitch and catch with your quarterback when you need him in a critical moment. A really good tailback or a tandem at tailback, and then tight ends and just I'll call them role players, quote unquote, who can all kind of by committee fill in the rest of that gap on certain weeks, right? But you always have to have a number one option, a strong run game. Like that seems to be every great team usually has that. The Bears can play that kind of ball where they simplify it. Hey, we're focal pointing here, 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 and running, right? Not 5 options. We're down to 3. We're down to 2. I think they can do that simplification of offense better than anybody, and they can do it with interchangeable pieces, right? It's not, Bears or Packers of old, right? When it was Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers, right? That was automatic. But when Tay was hurt, Rodgers still put up good numbers, but it was definitely more spread out, right? That it wasn't that one-to-one. The Bears can do the one-to-one. You're seeing it right now with DJ. He's had that the last 2 weeks, really, even though Burden had pretty strong numbers as well as kind of that second option along with him in that Cleveland game. Ben's really good at doing this and then doing this when he's got reinforcements. And then when they have to we got to get our best guys in the best positions, he can do this. Again, that's not like football's term per se. There's not like I'm not, you're just running up the gut. We're not doing any, footballisms here. But that's just the philosophy, I think, of how Ben Johnson runs his offense. And because of that, it's why they can be successful with so many injuries, with, weapons missing. As long as they got their piece, like they can make it work. And it's just that ability to be able to simplify based on what you have. And I'm glad there was understanding amongst, because that was a really off the wall take there. But I tried my best to simplify it as best as I could.
No, I like it. And, you almost have to wonder, though, like, is this the way the team practices? It's because they don't laser focus on one guy that you can not just have DJ Moore go off one day and Luther Burden go off one day, but you can have guys like Walker come off the street, but not playing any games, all of a sudden being counted on and catch a game-tying touchdown on 4th and 4, knowing exactly where to be, because that's just, the level of focus and the culture in that locker room and how they practice that. Hey, your number might get called up. You need to be ready. It's not always going to be this number or that number. Whoever is playing in that particular slot, you make sure that you're ready, because you could be the guy that we call the play for. And maybe, again, it's just that well balanced that you don't know which play is going to be yours. It's not if you're one of the other wide receivers, the other 2 guys are going to get the majority of the plays. No, this Sunday might be your day. So you're practicing extra hard. You're training extra hard, just waiting for the moment. And then you have, experiences like Saturday night where a kid like Walker, gets his.
Absolutely. Depth is critically important to great football teams, and like maximizing depth is truly great coaching. And the Bears have done exactly that. To your point, Ja'Day Walker, we talked about DeMarco Jackson. We've talked about a number of these guys already over the last few Bears on Tap episodes. just truly in awe of what they've been able to accomplish with so many guys. Again, football injuries are inevitable. That's just the nature of the beast with the game. It's usually the team that's the healthiest that wins the most games, or at least you would think by logic. But when you've got a great, culture in place with strong depth, you can make shit work out really well, and that's what the Bears have exactly done this season. Sonny, I don't know, man. I'm still excited, but I turn to you. Do you have any other thoughts?
No, not really. And we could talk about, the implications of who we want to win and what happens, if we win this game or that game.
I like that idea. Do you want to get there?
Okay, sure. I was going to say let's just save it for a future episode and enjoy the moment, but it's your call. I sent you the text. We know who needs to do what, but yeah, for me it's just I'm also kind of enjoying the moment and feeling
fly high.
Yeah,
I like that. Let's fly high then. We'll keep that one in the back burner. But I'll tell you what, that's a great takeaway for everybody here. Go to this video, comment on it. Who do you want to see in what playoff positions? What's your final playoff picture? What's your reasoning? Maybe we share those on that next episode, Sonny. I think that's a great way for people to share their thoughts with us and force us to all have to take our hand at this and say where we're going with it. Maybe we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, but that's fun. It's part of the adventure, Sonny. But it's been a fun adventure so far because we at least know there is at least one more game happening this season. The Bears are in the playoffs. They have a chance. So you're telling me there's a chance? Yes, I am, Sonny. There is a chance. It's a great time to be a Bears fan, man.
Oh, it's a fantastic time. And again, I cannot wait to do that first post-game live, regardless of what the result is going to be. The fact that I know I have to schedule that off, to be ready to get on here. And, it's, again, the expectations I had coming into the season. Like, if you had told me that, by December 21st, you'll have clinched the division, Caleb would have, 5 or 6 game-winning drives. You'd have Ben Johnson, who goes 11-2 after an 0-2 start to the season. You're going to be feeling incredibly excited about where Ben's trajectory is. He's going to go beyond your expectations. You're going to have 2 running backs. I wasn't sure if we had 1 running back coming into the season, and now it looks like we have 2 legitimate, good, solid plus running backs in the NFL. I would not have believed you, and I don't know if even the most optimistic Bears fan out there would have believed all of that. And yet here we are, Ron, celebrating not a post-game show, not a preview show, but just an emergency pod of you and I and our fans in the chat, the Bears fans in the chat, just taking a huge a breath of relief, just enjoying the fact that we've got postseason ahead of us this year.
Indeed, we do. Couple final comments. The Bash Brothers, for real, and Trent's Trader also says, we need a Packers loss for sure. That gives us the North title. Or just a win, baby. Just go take care of business in San Francisco, and that's as good as it gets. And Raymond asks, you telling me there's a chance we're going to bear the F down? Absolutely. There is a chance. Get those dancing shoes ready. Scott's looking for a shuffle. And we think that Ben Johnson is Chicago's next great coach. I hope this is all true. We're celebrating the moment. It's been a great evening celebrating. It's been a great weekend celebrating the Bears doing good things. We'll be back with you guys this week. A true and final, I think, or probably pretty close to it. I think we'll get one more. But happy holidays to everybody. Merry Christmas to those who celebrate. And we'll see you on the other side. Sonny, what do you say? Bear down?
Bear down, Ron.